Aloha and welcome, guys. It's Aloha Friday. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Hi, Cass. Is it Aloha Friday? Yep, they know. They know. They know. And so, how are y'all? Here we go. We've got hopefully no fights with the dogs. Cassie, sit. Thank you. And so I hope everyone has been having a good, yeah, they've gotten really, really vocal. I do know, thank God, you guys can't hear most of what they do. Actually, the other day I was talking with Sleuth and Burden privately after our live, and we were just kind of going back and forth talking, and I had to turn off Crisp. And people were able to finally understand just how loud it is on my end. It's loud. So anyhow, we will see what goes on. So how are y'all doing? We hit Friday. We made it through another work week, or some of us have made it through. If you've got a regular Monday through Friday, you made it through a work week. And we are getting ready to start a weekend. Thank God. And so thank you. Thank you. I decided to use one of the good old-fashioned thingies there. I need to wash it, though. It's starting to get a little out of hand right now. So, and thank you. Let me see. Actually, let me go through and say hi to everyone. And Sleuth came in first and actually was trying to answer about the subject for today. The question of the day for anyone who answered it was, have you heard of the 4 agreements? If so, what is the most life-changing agreement for you? And I have had a discussion on this before, but it was literally some of my first videos I ever did. And in fact, I was watching them again to prep for this. And oh my gosh. Yeah. 2 years is a long time. Cassie, would you sit back, please, and stop it? And also, but yeah, so Sleuth was like, this wasn't new to Sleuth, and she thinks. And I've mentioned it a couple times. I just noticed Rosaling is in chat. Rosaling is my buddy when it comes to this subject. And also, hopefully you guys will find it as helpful as I know Rosaling. Cassie, would you please stop it? Oh my gosh, you are such a little diva today. Princess Megan is here. How are you, my dear? And Mama Jane, all of us are thinking about you and your sister. For those of you who missed it, was saying that her sister has been in hospice and they are right now waiting. I don't know if she's transitioning maybe right now or what, but you're in our thoughts, you're in our prayers, and all right now. And whenever you're here, no problem, but you need to be with family, definitely, for sure. And so love you. And there is our dear Burden. How are you, Miss Burden? And Sky Maiden, how are you, my dear? Let's see, who else we got? I said hi there. Let's see who else. And Sloop says, Grandma Sherry, aloha. Aloha. I actually do, by the way, I was out in Waikiki last night, and I have a video that I'm going to post. There is a little memorial down by the Elks Club that is for those who've been lost at sea. Okay, but for me, it's more those who have been lost, okay, and we don't know where they are. So it's kind of taken on a different meaning for me when I go down there. So I did a video last night that I'm going to actually post for everyone. Just as a way for us to come back and remember those that we talk about almost on a daily basis who have gone missing, and just remember they're never that far from our thoughts, no matter where we are, even in the middle of Waikiki, they're in our thoughts. Let's see, who else we got here? Rosa Ling. I just talked about my dear Miss Rosa Ling, and thank you also again for that one, Burden. And Kelly is here. Hello, Kelly, and in the bushes. Cassie, if you're going to bark, could you at least say hi or something? And also, oh my God, Magenta made it. Hey, Magenta, how you doing, my dear? Let's see, Michelle K. Hey, Michelle, and Sandra. I think, is that everyone? Yes, that's everyone. So, hey guys, yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Magenta. Thank you so much. And I'm kind of happy because my dear old little filter that I usually do for when I have rosé taken off. Hey, would you stop it? Would you stop it, little miss? Oh, yes. No, you are not getting treats. Oh, there's Jeff's mom. Okay, put you over there. How's that? They all want treats, and of course, she's going to throw a temper tantrum because she wants the treats. So, well, Jet's mom's here. Hey, Jet's mom. So, let's this real quickly. I know I got some of the OGs in this group here. How many of you have ever seen the original videos I did about the 4 agreements? Maybe you were part of that chat during those days. Maybe you watched it when you were trying to help me get to the hours I needed for monetization. Okay, who knows? But maybe you saw it. Put 1 in chat if you were part, you've been able to see it. Put a 2 in chat if you were not, and I'm not going to be mad. And I actually went back and looked, and I was like, oh my gosh, 2 years, wow. And but it definitely, even me, when I went back to it, I was like, oh my gosh, I'd forgotten so much. And okay, we're getting some 1s. We got a 2 there, magenta. Cassie, yes, you're like a 5 or 6 at this point. And but only saw the first one. Yes, I have a whole playlist actually about them. Didn't know me then. Perfect. And that's why I wanted to do this again. I know we have grown and we have a lot more people here now. And this book, this is actually a book. Let me actually bring up the book itself so you guys can see. There we go. And this book, I first read in the early 2000s. I was living in Kauai at the time, and I was going through a lot of shit. I was going through a lot of my original work that I was having to do to get over my past and stuff like that. And I don't even know how I came across this book. Probably I spent a lot of times at Borders at the time, and I'd be looking through the self-help section and stuff like that. And I suspect that's probably where I came across it. All I know is this little book, and it is a little book. It's not that big. Okay, I have it now actually on my iPad. That's where I read it now from, is my iPad, because they do have it for Amazon Kindles, all that. It made the difference for me. It made such a difference for me because there were so many issues I had that I wasn't sure how to address. And many of them I didn't even realize I had the issues. And this really helped me understand. Rosalie, FYI, that PDF that we had, double check that. I just checked it. I think the download isn't working anymore. I checked earlier and I meant to tell you about it. I forgot to. Rosalie was amazing and was able to find a free download version of it. And there may still be another download version out there. But if not, literally, I think you could buy it for $6 or $7. It's really not that expensive, and it's worthwhile. It's definitely worth it. So when you hear me talk about the 4 agreements, it comes from this book, okay, by Don Miguel Ruiz. And basically, he talked about 4 agreements that you can make with yourself. And by following those 4 agreements, it truly clears up a lot of the headaches we deal with every day, the questioning we have in our hearts, okay, the heartache of sitting on YouTube. And guys, I'm going to mention some of this stuff in connection with YouTube because honestly, I had really followed this book heavily when I was younger. And then I kind of forgot about it. And then I came back to YouTube, okay, 2 years ago, and immediately I was like, oh my gosh, I need to go back to this. Because as you read these 4 agreements, be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions. Always do. It makes sense. So I wanted to, at that time, come back to it. Was the first series I actually did was on this book. And over the last couple weeks, I have found myself mentioning the 4 agreements more and more, and finally got to the point I was like, oh, yeah, I think it's time to talk about this. And so please join me in that. I I just noticed good old Jet's mom. Jet's mom was actually there during that. I was watching the videos, and Rosaline was there. Jet's mom was there. That girl was there. We had a lot of people who were in there that are still out here, all the OGs. And so, yeah, Jet's mom, such a great book, such a great message. It really helps create clarity and peace in life if you actively participate. Okay, if you're proactive about it and participate with it. And it really does. It does. So that's what the book looks like. If you're looking for it, again, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. That is the cover. They have that book as well as a fifth agreement, and we will be going over the fifth agreement also. In addition to that, there's like a workbook version and all sorts of other stuff. There's our dear Kelly. And so, yeah, if it applies to you and resonates at the point, okay. And these things are so, so good. So let me pull up, actually, I'm going to take this down now and pull up the banners. So first of all, guys, with this one, there could be some moments here that I may say something that could be considered triggering. You guys know the rules right here. Okay, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. If you find yourself getting to the point where you're being triggered, please take care of yourself. If you need to turn off the live, you turn off the live. Okay, if you need to ask people for help, you ask people for help. If you need to call 988, you call 988. Okay, just take care of yourself. It shouldn't be heavily triggering, but some of these areas, especially with how it fit into my life, I could see things accidentally said out loud that could be considered triggering. So please be careful. And if you would like to talk with me at any time about this or anything else, please feel free to give me send me an email or something, no problem whatsoever. And so let's start the discussion. The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Rosaline just said, I found this book decades ago and I've tried to live by the agreements. It seems to make my life easier to try. Yeah. And that's what, to me, how can one book make such a difference in so many people's lives? But it has, okay? And trust me, I'm not getting paid to talk about this book or anything other than the fact that it has helped me. When I'm following it and really following it, it makes a difference. So, yeah, Mama Jane, you got it. And that's what I love. And same with Discord, okay? If you guys ever need anything, we have the Discord where people can come and talk about things if they would like to. And please feel free to join Discord for that reason. So the Four Agreements, okay, Don Miguel Ruiz comes from South American and has a lot of thoughts based off of Toltec wisdom. So original South American Toltec, okay, thoughts and ideas. And that's where a lot of this comes from. Okay, what we're going to do is take it the next step and look at it from today's way of seeing things. So probably one of the most important things for us to understand as we start thinking about this book and what it has to teach us is the word domestication. Okay. Domestication is honestly at the base of almost everything we do every day. How we act, how we see the way people respond to us, how we see ourselves responding. It can almost all be tied down to domestication. What is domestication, though? Okay, we hear domestication, the word, all the time. I mean, you got domesticated pups, okay, you got all these things. We hear these words, okay, where an animal has been domesticated. They've been pulled in to be able to work and live and participate in our lives as humans. That happens to each and every one of us as children. Okay, if you go back to the moment any of you had a child or you yourself were a baby, okay, that baby is born basically a clean slate, right? Yeah, exactly, Rosalie. Once you understand the domestication, the rest really does come easier. When a baby is born, they are a clean slate, okay? Yes, they have some basic things that they do, but we kind of joke all the time. They poop, pee, and sleep, and that's it for the first couple of months. Yeah, and then they start developing some personalities and things like that. Yes, every mother will say every child's a little different and some sleep a little better and some do this a little more, whatever. But what starts happening is as we get older, and older meaning just even weeks, we start being molded in a certain way. Okay. For example, I just made the comment about, you might have had that one child who slept so well, would sleep through the night and stuff like that. Okay. We start getting this idea of what that perfect child is. Okay, or what you want or expect from that great little kiddo or something like that. And we start training the children to do that. Okay, we start seeing the expectation is even on something like gender. There are thoughts processes, okay, and yes, some of this, and we're not going to get into a big gender discussion here or anything, but even along that, it goes to the point where we start having our gender reveals. And as soon as someone knows, is it pink or is it blue, they're already picturing, okay, what type of clothes am I going to buy? What am I going to do on this? What are all those different things start coming into play? We start getting this idea of what the expectations are for that child as they get older. And we kind of grow the child in that way. Okay, if you have a very conceived idea of gender, you may push it in that direction. If it's more of, well, you want a child who sleeps through the night and sleeps on their own, your idea is that you're going to push the child in that direction. And as they get older and older, those expectations grow. Okay, you get to the point where you send a child off to school. And I don't know about you guys, but I used to get the talk from my parents saying, okay, now remember, okay, you need to be good when you're in class. You need to be quiet when the teacher's talking. You need to answer her questions. Raise your hand. We're all taught that in pre-K, right? If you want to say something, you got to raise your hand, to the point where once we graduate from school, we still want to raise our hand when we go into things. That is domestication. Okay. Take it a next step. Okay. Of what are the expectations? This here shows multiple difference. Okay, let's take dinner. Family dinner. You've got a 9-year Siren. I'm happy you made it for a little while, my dear. I'm so happy you made it. Love you. Family dinners. Say you've got a 9 or 10-year-old child and you're talking about a family dinner. There are multiple different ideas of what family dinner could mean. Okay, is it the idea of at dinner a child is seen but not heard? We've all heard that. It tends to be a little older generation, but that was definitely an issue where not issue, but a type of raising where children were told, you sit at the table, you don't say any words, you eat all your food. Okay, that was the expectation for those families. Other families were, okay, my family, we ate dinner together every night. My dad was home at 5 o'clock every single night, and we would sit and eat dinner together. We'd turn on the news, and we would watch the news, and mom or dad would ask, how was the day at school? And we'd talk about school and stuff like that. A different type of domestication. Then you have another group. Okay, maybe mom and dad work. So the child grows up different direction. Okay, they have their key, they come home, they make their meal and they eat on their own. Okay, or even if the whole family's there, everyone goes and eats in their own direct area. A different way of growing. Now, is one correct and another one not correct? No, they're all correct for that family. It's how that family is pulled together. That's domestication there. I just saw someone else, Dog Defender has been here for a while. Seal, that's who it was. I thought I just saw pop in also. So As we get older, more of these things are coming into play. And each of these things we're being trained in is teaching us how to view the world. Okay, if you are from a family that sits and eats together as a family, and you go over to Thanksgiving dinner at a cousin's house or something, and that's big, you've never heard. I'm happy I can share it with you. I'm definitely having, by the way, hey. And so you go to this house, you go to your cousin's house, and they're the type you're seen but not heard. You as a 8, 9, 10-year-old child are probably already putting in your head, oh my God, this is so stuffy. And you start, because you're seeing the world through a different set of eyes. School, okay, you could have differences, okay, life experiences within the school. Take a child who goes to a private school versus someone who goes into maybe an inner city public school. Totally different feel of what school is probably like. And that's going to change the way they react to things. And that's it. We used to sit and yell together. Yeah, that's it exactly. We would talk, we'd be talking over the TV and everything else, but we sat together. And also life experiences. Now, you add in other types of life experiences. Abuse, divorce, moving a lot. All of those things start to affect domestication. They change. For example, a child who comes from a family that has domestic violence in it is now going to see the world in a different way than a family, okay, someone from a nuclear family that's all happy and all that. Okay, so you may find yourself, and that's where we get the cycle. We hear about the cycle all the time where people are living the same life that their parents did and their parents' parents did and all that. And all of these things come down to domestication. We start to see ourselves based off of the experiences. Okay, if you have a teacher, let's get away from parents for a second and talk about teachers. Okay, say you have a teacher who is sitting there and telling you how stupid you were or whatever it is. Okay, maybe you have one of those horrible teachers who points out the negative all the time. Okay, you may get to the point where you never raise your hand to answer a question because you don't want to risk being wrong. Okay, what if you have classmates who are making fun of you for wearing glasses? It starts to affect the way you see yourself and how you respond to other people. So that is key, like Rosaline was saying. Understanding domestication is key for understanding these 4 agreements, because we need to understand that each of us is coming from a different background. Okay, I am not the same person as Dog Defender. Dog Defender is not the same as MX Big or Mama Jane's. We're all different. Even if we have similar backgrounds, we're different. You can have a sister and brother, and they are completely different because of domestication. Because you know what? My brother may have grown up with my mom and dad, but he did not grow up with the same teachers. He did not grow up with the same friends or bullies or stuff like that. So those are the things we take a look at. Mama Jane, I have to go for a bit. Okay, we're thinking about you, sending you all the positive energy we can and prayers, my dear. So let's see, here we go. So now that we have a good idea of what the idea of domestication is, now we can start looking at the agreements. And the idea of this book is that if you follow these 4 agreements, it truly will help much of your life feel more normal. You'll be able to kind of understand things. It really, and it does actually. Is it easy? Hell no. It's not easy all the time. But that's why we keep coming back to it. That's why 2 years later, I'm doing another video on it. And so we're going to start with the first one. The first of these agreements that you make with yourself, okay, is be impeccable with your word. And yes, Michelle, I just saw your comment. That is why empathy is so important. Therapist once told me that empathy is a gift. Not everybody has it. And that's true. Not everybody has it, and not everyone has it to the same extent, or it may show differently. And maybe they're taught through domestication not to share. They may be very empathic, but it's been kind of stopped down. Hey, Georgia Peach. Hey, my dear. So being impeccable with your word, okay, what do you guys, okay, when I throw out the word impeccable, what are the words that pop up in your mind? Okay, what do you see impeccable as? Because it's always kind of thrown me this word, okay, being used in this sentence, being impeccable with your word. And good, MX big, perfect, exactly, being perfect. I myself, my dad, I grew up an Army brat. And so impeccable to me was someone, okay, that uniform, okay, with all the crisp edges and clean and no dog hair or anything on it or anything like that. Just very, very perfect, like you say, MX Big. Thoughtful. Yeah. So, see, it's this thing that with each of us starts to become something different. Where it comes down to is the idea that impeccable is trying to be perfect, being honest, being real, okay, being that best version of yourself possible. And so if you're being impeccable with your word, immaculate, that was a good one, MX. Good one there. Immaculate. Okay. Immaculate takes you to the next thing. Immaculate Mary, for those of you who are Catholic. Okay. So you're kind of getting an idea of what that becomes there. So if you're being impeccable with your word, what you're trying to do is to be as perfect, immaculate, okay, thoughtful, all those words like MX just used and all, with how you speak. You're going to speak with integrity. Okay. And those words seem like a level to be unattainable. Exactly. And you know what? To be honest, all of these things are something to strive for. Are we always going to be successful? No. Definitely no. Definitely no. But it's something to strive for. It's something to kind of aim to be at. Because as you know down deep, when you are able to be impeccable with your word, because there are times that we are, think about the feeling that you get when you are. That's the feeling that all of us would like to be at. And so we do strive for it. And so speak with integrity. Okay, say only what you mean. And this is where it gets interesting because words, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but words are like symbols. Okay, a word is basically a series of symbols, A, B, C, D, whatever it is on that level, right? And also understanding that those symbols actually have meanings behind them. So say what it is you actually mean. Okay, don't pussyfoot around. Sometimes we avoid using words. Okay, why? Well, we may be worried we're going to upset other people, so we kind of tiptoe around everything. Maybe our own domestication steps in, and we start thinking things this way based off of our domestication, when in reality, what's being said is something else. And then when you get two people and we're all not quite being impeccable with our word, then it becomes another level of confusion. So try avoid using, sorry, you are being very noisy today. So I love that Logan just keeps on talking slightly. Yep, exactly. And she's saying, and I'm like, oh, just keep it up, girl, keep it up. Hey, JP. And so, yeah, actually, MX, and that's true. Some of us hold back. Some of us go too harshly. But you know what? Being honest about our words, speaking with integrity helps to get around all of the miscommunication. That think about how many times you've been in an argument or a fight with someone, whether it be in your own house or here on YouTube, wherever it is, when all of a sudden you are saying stuff but not saying it all the way, and huge fight breaks out. Where if all of us were just listening to each other and not allowing the domestication side and things, all these other things to come in, it would have been clear, especially once you use all four of these together. Grandma Sherry, speak your truth. Google, how do I say you're being an asshole politely? Yeah, exactly. And speaking the truth is, and that's something that was extremely hard for me for years. And my dog is extremely nice. She's actually, as Grandma Sherry knows, a couple others know, she is the diva PETA. That's Cassie right now. Big time. Big time. So, and sorry, my mom is vacuuming, so I'm hoping you guys don't hear that in the other room. She's keeping herself busy. So, avoid using words, when you're talking to people, and this is where gossip comes in. Okay, gang? Not sure about you guys, but I know, especially here on YouTube, gossip becomes the behind 90% of what we're dealing with. Okay, we get massively into gossip. Okay, oh, did you hear so-and-so? Did you see so-and-so's video? Gossip is heavily behind a lot of what we're dealing with over here. So when you are being impeccable with your word, you're going to avoid using words to speak against yourself. You're going, gossiping against yourself is no good either, guys. Okay, talking bad about yourself is not any good. Okay, but you're also going to want to stay away from gossiping about other people. Okay, understanding why some stuff is going on. So what do? We know gossip sucks. We hate gossip. None of us like gossip. Okay. So what can we to stay away from it? Okay, because every one of us have been in a chat on YouTube where gossip starts. Okay, or we've been in a Facebook message group and gossip starts or something like that. Every single one of us have been there. I've been involved in it. Okay, what are some of the things that you can? Because we've all probably also had that same feeling when we're like, oh my gosh, things are crossing lines here. This is not feeling right. You know that feeling that you know in you. Okay, that's smart. MX, just ignoring other people's opinions of others. And that's actually part of what goes on in this also. So thinking, there are positive and negative reasons for gossip. Okay. Why do we gossip? Let me ask that. Okay. Those of you in chat, can you think of whether negative or positive? Okay. Why do people gossip? Why is it that when there is a drama live, views double? Okay, boredom, big time. Boredom's a big one. Boredom can definitely be a big thing there. Yeah, I wrote here, fear of missing out. Okay. Power, knowledge. We hear the word, knowledge is power. We want to feel like we belong. And many times we feel like the best way to show that we belong is to try to belong and show that we're part of the group. We're part of the group. Insecurity. That's a good one, Sandra. That's a good one, because a lot of times this all does come down to insecurity. Okay. You're feeling nervous about yourself and where you stand on things. So you jump in when people are either attacking someone else, because it's so much better if they're attacking someone else than you, because then maybe you feel a little better about yourself. I think that's something that happens quite often. Or, okay, it's this thing that you just want to get with everything. What did I just say? I don't like that, but it's like are getting in the pool, but they just, yeah. And it often involves judging views. That's what I saw. Sorry. That's what I was going to, yeah. Views, subs, all that. Because we all know gossip and drama is almost like giving people adrenaline. I don't know if you guys have ever felt that, but have you ever gotten this feeling when you walk into, whether it be YouTube or the lunchroom at work or something like that, and people are involved in gossip, and it's like everyone's adrenaline is up 2 or 3 levels all of a sudden, and everyone's like, oh my God, yeah. It's something that goes on with that. Okay, the problem is in doing gossip, okay, we all know many times we don't feel later on after the fact. Okay, once that adrenaline comes down, how do you feel? Okay, when you have to go and approach that person and maybe you got so into it that you said something that you probably never would have said if you had been calmer and thinking things through, but you just kind of went along with everyone else. You start feeling bad about it and stuff like that. And that's where, because we're not acting with integrity at that point. And for many of us, we hold ourselves up to that level of integrity. Okay, so when we fail at it, it's something that means something to us. Like, I can't believe I just did that post. That was not the best way to react at this. Maybe I could have done something different. And that's when we say, how do you though? If you're in there and you're in the middle of not being impeccable with your word, you're being a sheeple. Exactly. So sorry, I'm just keeping an eye on chat too. I'm high masking. Oh, sorry, Sherry. I see what you're replying to someone else. How do you stop? Because that becomes the problem. You're recognizing, you're starting to notice, I'm crossing a line here. Can I stop myself before it gets worse? I go further down and then it's impossible to turn back. And also, what are some of the things? Well, sometimes, okay, I'll be honest, guys, leaving is not always easy. Saying something, hey guys, this is wrong. That's not easy. I don't know about you guys, but I find that very hard to do. Okay, if I'm in a group with 10 other people and they're all gossiping up a storm or they're all ganging up on someone together, okay, it can be hard to be the one to step up and say, hey guys, this is wrong, stop. Okay, so what other things can you do? Analyze your approach, think before you type. Yeah, and maybe sometimes it's just changing. If it's in a smaller group, you can change the subject. If you're talking, look for something maybe positive in connection to what you're talking about. Okay, maybe you are, I kind of used this as an example 2 years ago, that you're talking about someone maybe being overweight or something like that. And yeah, if they'd only go out and exercise or stuff like that, okay, they wouldn't have these problems, blah, 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 blah. And people are pushing in that direction. One possibility there would be people are talking about exercise. Maybe you can change the subject into something on that area. Okay, so you're not necessarily ignoring what people are saying. You're just trying to redirect the discussion. And that's one thing. The other is, yeah, you can remove yourself. If it's a chat, if it is anywhere that you just up and walk off. And it's not that hard to just, especially, I'll be honest, on YouTube, it's very easy to do that. If we're sitting in a chat and we're seeing attacking going on and stuff like that, and the creator notices that 50 people have left, they're going to realize, ooh, this might not be what I need to be doing because look how many people have now left. So see, just in walking away, you don't have to say something. Don't have to start a huge fight. Just in making those little steps, if enough people do them, we're able to be impeccable with our words through our actions at that point. Let me see here. JPH, learn to love yourself, forgive yourself, then live life, finish the bucket list. Oh, I love that. I love all that. So yeah, you can defend the person being picked on. Some people have that ability where they truly can defend the person. Okay. So being able to do that, standing up for the person. Okay. I guarantee you that person would probably be very, very grateful. Sherry uses humor to de-escalate. So see, not only just changing subjects, you know you need to be impeccable with your word. Okay, being impeccable does not, okay, it can be coming out and saying this has to stop, or it could be using humor to de-escalate everything. Okay, changing a subject, things like that. That is also being impeccable. And in the end, what we want to do is change the way we are using our words. Rather than use the words to tear people down or to point out the negative all the time, we need to use those words in the direction of truth and love. As Don Miguel Ruiz mentions to people, using the words for those parts. Oh yeah, you guys can hear them growling. Yeah, they're having fun. They are really having fun today. And also, yeah, using our words in those ways does make a difference. And people see that because people do see when other people are being, okay, impeccable. And they want to do that themselves. Okay, but a lot of times they're just scared to do that because they're worried they're going to be the only one doing it. But they're not. I find more often than not, everyone else wants to do it too, but everyone is worried about being the only person. So use your power of your words to try to point out good. Okay, it makes a difference. Other people follow into that. JPH, look into the book, War of the Words. Ooh, I'll have to do that one for sure. I will definitely. And connected to the whole idea of gossip is gossiping with yourself about yourself. Guys, we have said this how many times? We are our own worst enemies. Okay? If we start telling ourselves all the time about how horrible we are and, oh my God, we screwed that up again and we did this and, oh, if we had just responded this way instead of that way or things like that, all we are doing is tearing down. We are not being impeccable with our word to ourselves. So, hey, it's one thing, you got to be real with yourself. Okay, you got to be, okay, you're never going to grow if you're not real with yourself. You got to look at your failures and stuff like that. And, oh, Michelle, do I got a mic drop? Boop. And, but guys, there's a difference between being real with ourselves so we can grow and become better people and tearing yourself down. Okay, you don't have to tear yourself down. Okay, you can grow, okay, just by being honest with yourself and recognizing, okay, this is turning into a problem for me. Isn't that great that I've actually figured out that that is a problem for me? Now, how am I going to fix it? Okay, that's being impeccable. That's being open. Oh, dog just totally jumped off the chair. And that is helping yourself. Being impeccable with your word. You're speaking with integrity to yourself, about yourself. And so never put yourself down, ever. It's not worth it. Okay, we've got enough that we're up against in the world all the time. You don't need yourself to be against yourself also. Okay, you can actually see what's going on. And actually, I'll be honest, it was in following these 4 agreements that I was able to start truly moving from victimhood to survivor, thriver, whatever it is you want to call it. And because we don't have to be victims our whole life either. Okay, we use our past to become the better people that we can be. Okay, so empower yourself. Don't undermine yourself. That's a good one. That is a good one. I love it when I see some of these comments come out of you guys. I love this. And so don't gossip with yourself. Don't come down on yourself on all this stuff. And now they're all barking at grandma. Will you guys stop? Oh, yeah, that's who's behind me. So that's step 1. That is, be impeccable with your word. Now, the next is actually my hardest one right here. Don't take anything personally. Guys, how many of you guys take things personally, like all the time? Anything happens and you think it's got to be against you. Someone says something and you overhear them say something and you're thinking, oh, they must. You see 2 friends across the room whispering to each other and you're automatically thinking, oh my God, they must be talking about me. Okay. Or you're walking down the street and you see 2 people laughing. Oh my God, what are they laughing about and everything? Because one of them happened to look my direction. Yeah. You're guilty of that, Princess Megan. Bingo. Laughing at the puppy. Yeah. Exactly. Don't take it personal, puppy. And also it is, and that's it. I build up my anxiety by always thinking everyone else is against me. Everything is always about me. I got news for you guys. Everything is not about us. Okay, there's a lot of other people who live in the world and they have just as many issues and just as many thoughts as we have going on. Okay, I think I've told you guys this one before. When I was a little girl, I used to think that life was a movie and I was the main character of the movie. And everyone that I ran into, my teachers, my friends, all of these other people, I even had a hard time seeing them as real. Okay, they were just extras in my movie. Okay, and everything was about me. And maybe that's what childhood is about, is seeing everything as around about you. And it's funny looking back on, because now I'm like, oh my gosh. But yeah, children are a little bit on the, okay, it's all about me thing. And, but realizing that, I think that's where a lot of the things start. Because as children, we are very focused on everything is more about ourselves. Okay, we also don't take things personally a lot of times because, yeah, okay, that kids are fine being themselves. So often they just have no problem. They're themselves. And then domestication comes in, things like that, and we start to take things personally. We see people laugh or talk, or okay, we choose a new pair of clothes and we think people are going to laugh at that clothes because, oh my gosh, look at this, or whatever it is. And and yeah, that could be when people are pointing at you directly, that becomes an issue. But this is where the thing comes. Even when someone is pointing thing out directly to you. Okay, they're pissed off at something that you did, and it's your fault that you did it. And you know what? Many times it has more to do with what's going on in their life. You may not know what's going on, because I guarantee you, none of us know everything that's going on with anyone else's life. I don't even know what's going on with all of my mom's life, and she and I live in the same house. There are things that she's not going to share with me. Emotions, fears that she's not going to share with me. So when all of a sudden she comes to me and gets upset with me and says something, sometimes her comment, even if it's directed at something I've done, might be more connected to something that's going on in her own life right now. That's what's behind don't take anything personally. because we don't know everything else that's going on. Every person is coming into life and discussions, okay, from a different place, from a different level of domestication, okay, from where they are. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, my dear. This has always been the thing. Oh, another mic drop. Ooh, I need me a mic drop thing here. I need audio or something. Maybe I can use my Stream Deck for that. And if I ever use my Stream Deck. And also, Rosalie, she always has good comments. So that's why when I see them, I read them. When a particular person was coming at me in a public forum, it was the 4 agreements that helped me realize it was not about me, but something they were going through. Yes. And you may never know what that thing was. But chances are, because what you should be now, if someone's coming to you with something about you, you probably do need to sit back and kind of look at it. Be open and honest with yourself. Don't attack and go crazy on yourself, but look at it and see, is there truth behind what they're saying? Is there a truth that's tying all this together? There may be. Okay, maybe there's a lesson in it for you. And, but 9 times out of 10, okay, they're speaking to you off of something that's going on in their lives. Okay, what you did, you may have done it, but it affected them in a different way because of where they are at that time. Hey, how you doing, Mass? And so I'm so happy everyone's joining in today. And we got some great conversations going in this chat. And I'm loving this. And so no one does anything. Yes, there may be some truths, and you need to listen to what the truths are, because you don't want to just say, well, I'm never going to take anything personally. Everyone is all talking about me in other ways and I'm not at fault for anything. No, you know what? We all do stupid, fucked up stuff at times. It happens. Okay. You need to take a look at it, see if there is truth in it. And it is also, you're right, MX. It's very much. It's how you respond too. Okay, how are you going to respond to them on that? And because response can make a difference. Are you going to blow up at them? Are you going to step back and say, ooh, okay, I understand what you're trying to say to me. Okay, and let that speak for itself. Like I just said, what others say or do is often a projection of their own reality. What's going on at that time, how work is going. Maybe they're having a shitty time at work. Maybe they just found out that, okay, they got passed up for, okay, a promotion at work. And they're frustrated and happen to have seen something that went really well in your neck of the woods. And their emotions kind of snuck in there. Okay, we don't know those things. Okay, so their reality can make a difference. Not just reality, but their dream. Each of us has a dream. We have a picture of what we want our life to look like, right? And that changes over time. Okay, as we grow, that changes. Our expectations change. So they may be speaking to you based off of where they really want to be and where you are. So, oh, yes, definitely. Grandma Sherry, customer service training technique. Totally. So now speaking this, though, one of the questions that came into my head when I started looking at this about not taking things personally, if we're saying, okay, people come at you with negative comment after negative, and you just don't take the negative comments, they're talking more about themselves, whatever you want to say about it. What about positive comments? Do we listen to the positive comments if we don't listen to the negative comments? That's where I started having some complications in my own thought process on this. How can I choose to ignore negative comments but not positive? Well, first of all, I said don't ignore the comments. You still need to listen to the comment, because there may be some veins of truth in what's being said, but that's something only you should be able to answer. Okay, you need to be in touch with yourself enough to know, is there truth here or not? And so, Michelle, in my opinion, it's okay to be frustrated and react, but recognize that behavior and process it. When being so angry all the time is what you are doing, it's only hurting you the most. Yes. When anger is nothing but our whole life, it's cutting you out of so much possibility out there, because people don't want to be around people who are going to be negative 99% of the time. We're all going to be negative at some point of our life. That's going to happen. And but if a person is day in, day out with someone who's always negative, and we know those people, all of us know those types of people, you don't want to be around them for long. Yes, it's okay to be upset at things that happen and everything, but it's how we work through it. Now, as for positive comments, I'm going to say this. In the same way that we listen to the negative comments, but we understand that they may be speaking more about themselves than about us, but there could be a vein of truth. It's the same thing with positive. Okay? Remember, they're speaking to you, even a positive. Oh, you are gorgeous. Or, oh my gosh, look at your hair. You've got the prettiest hair. Okay, whatever it is. They're speaking from their level of domesticate, their level of ideas in their head. Okay, this is one reason why sometimes people can get a big head. Okay, if you only listen to the positive stuff and people are talking from their own domestication, their own idea of what is perfect, it's not going to be the same as someone else. But you're making yourself think bigger and bigger and bigger at yourself instead of stepping back and thinking, okay, well, that's good. That's a good hairdo that might be a nice hairdo that I want to use in the future and all that. But okay, I can tell this person maybe okay. You've got to step back and realize that people, even in comments, many times they're speaking the comments, the positive comments, from their own place, okay, for their own reasons. Okay, I hate to say it. Sometimes those comments come out of reasons just because people are looking for some way to share a moment with each other. Okay, and they don't know what else to say, so they slide that in because you rather share something that, yes, well, Grandma Sherry has all our mics. She's just dropping them one after another for us. And also, yeah, that's exactly. If you care too much about what others think, every day is a new battle, not worth it. And that's the thing. I'm not saying don't believe the positives, because you know what? What's wrong with believing a positive, especially if you feel it is a strength? Okay, but it doesn't mean it's perfect. Okay, some people will say to me, oh, you're so sweet, or you're one of the nicest people, or something like that. I know down deep I can be an asshole too. Okay, so yeah, people may say those things to me, and there is a level of truth about it, I hope. And but I also know that I can be an asshole at the same point. So I can't be blind to that, because otherwise all I'm doing is seeing positives and never looking at ways I can become a better person. So it's a hard balance to find there. You need to believe the good yourself. Okay, what do I mean by this? Many of us will not believe positive stuff about ourselves. But if someone tells us that positive stuff, we believe it. Why does it take someone else to tell us something good about ourselves to believe something good about ourselves? Believe in it yourself. It should not depend on someone else telling you something positive about yourself for you to believe that about yourself. Okay, if someone comes to you and says something amazing about you and all that, yeah, there should be a part of you that's like, yeah, that is actually one of my strengths. That is one of my, no, you're not going to be stuck up on it and all that. Please don't take me that way. But we should not have to depend on other people to tell us how good we are. We should know that for ourselves. Okay, because if we depend on other people to tell us how to believe about ourselves, are we going to believe them when they're telling us about how horrible we are also? You got to believe it yourself, plain and simple. And there you go, MX. Yep, we can all be. Actually, that was one of my biggest lessons in my life, is it's okay to be an asshole. For years, I did not think it was okay to be an asshole. You know what? It's life. And sometimes being an asshole means you're standing up for yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, as long as you're not getting a big head at the same time, there's nothing wrong with that. And also, so taking things personally goes on both levels. Understanding where another person is coming from. Okay, understanding they may have just had the shittiest day of all, and they're just trying to vent something out, and that's the way something came out. Their asshole side came out. And they happen to say something to you, but it doesn't mean it has, anything to do with you. It has more to do with where they are in their life than where you are in yours. So our third, and I know this is a little longer than it normally is, but 4 agreements can be a little hard to get through. Our third agreement is don't make assumptions. Guys, if there's one lesson out of these agreements for YouTube land, it's this one right there. There. Yes, there. And also, don't make assumptions. You know how many times I see arguments happening in YouTube land because of assumptions? Okay. I myself have been behind all of a sudden, thinking things and saying something or getting mad or something like that, all based off of assumptions. Exactly, Grandma Sheree. It makes assuming makes an ass out of you and me. Exactly. And I have seen so many times where I strongly believe trolls are behind emails or this or that, and people are like, no, so-and-so said that. Okay, so-and-so sent me that message or this or that. And I'm like, guys, there's no way. You're making an assumption as to what is happening. You have no proof. These are assumptions that are making you go down a new trail. Don't make assumptions, because these assumptions do nothing but build up negativity in our head. Okay, the assumptions make us start thinking, worse things about ourselves. Okay, they make us think bad things about people who might be our friends. Okay, assumptions are behind 90% of the fights I see happen. If people would just talk to each other rather than jumping to conclusions. And I know we talk about it in true crime all the time about making assumptions and stuff like that. How many times? I mean, I've even pointed my finger in the direction of a mother and father for kidnapping their own child and then found out later, no, some other guy did it. And assumptions don't ever get us anywhere. And so if we're not going to take assumptions and make assumptions, what do we need to do? Well, we need to ask questions. Okay, it's key. Ask questions when someone talks to you. Don't just take their words for face value. Okay, question them on it. Okay, and when you're talking, express what it is you really mean. Okay, if you are thinking someone means something, restate it to them to make sure that you are understanding what they're saying. Okay, ask those questions. Express what it is that you really, really are thinking. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid those misunderstandings. Okay, a lot of times, especially here on YouTube, we are depending on words. Okay, a string of symbols, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay. And we are expecting everyone to understand exactly what we are typing in there in less than so many characters. Okay. Because people are reading one thing after another real quickly. Okay. And we could be talking about two totally separate issues, but people are going to see it really quickly and they're going to run with it that way. So communicate, talk. Okay, know what is the best way to go about. Because if you read something and it's making you feel a certain way, ask the other person what they mean. Clarify before you go jumping and thinking that that person is trying to hurt your emotions or, hurt your reputation or shit like that. Check with them. Find out what it is. Assumptions include what one expects from the closest loved ones around you. Yes, they may fall short at times. And I'm the queen of assuming things with my mom all the time. I think since I live around her, I know how she thinks on everything. No, that's not totally true. Okay, but I get into that. Assuming something means you have made a judgment and decision on intent and meaning. Bingo. And that's the thing. That's where we come down to, okay, and when we get to the fifth agreement, and it gets into this thing about making judgment calls based off of what we're thinking. Fourth agreement, easy enough. It's what we tell every one of our kids in kindergarten, and I'm going to say it again. Just do your best. If each of us are always doing our best, that's all we can do. I mean, even if you fail and you've done your best, you've done your best. It's like people I had at one time, hey, Tammy, at one time, some of my mods were asking, oh, should we delete if we see something like this pop up or whatever? And I said to them, you know what? I believe whatever you guys, if you feel something needs deleted right away, screenshot so I know what it is, but I'm going to believe you and I'm going to support you in what you're doing because you are doing your best when you make that decision. If it's the wrong decision, we'll deal with it then. But you did everything you could at that time. And that's where it comes down to. And no, this is where the problem comes. So many of us get this idea of what our best is, okay? Your best is going to look this way. No, your best is going to change from moment to moment, day to day. Exactly, Rosaline. Your best is going to change. Some days you might be sick. Okay, have a migraine. You might have an upset. You might be hungover. You might, whatever it is. Okay, and that's, Sherry, right there. If your best, see, the problem comes when we think of our best day and what our best is on that day, and we compare everything to that level of the best. We're always going to fail because you know what? We're not always at that level. Some days, your best might be getting out of bed. Okay, your best might be coming in and saying hi to some friends and then turning out your lights. Our best changes from day to day. And you know what? If you did all you could that day, that's good. That's good. If it wasn't enough, you know what? You work on that for the future. That's all we can do. That's all we can do. Because over time, if we do that and we know we are doing our best for that moment in time, it's going to avoid that self-judgment that we have, where we're always coming down on yourself, where we're not giving ourselves grace. Exactly, Rosaline. We need to give ourselves grace. Okay, when we start coming down on ourselves for not doing our best, that is when we get into self-abuse. Okay, disrespecting ourselves, and in the end, regret. Okay, because then we start thinking, oh my God, if I had just done this differently here and da-da-da-da-da. And we've all done that. I have sat here before and said, oh my God, what if I had done this with this job? If I had done this slightly differently here, then that may not have happened, which that may not have, and I just go into this long, domino game of what happened wrong. And in the end, I'm sitting there wallowing in grief and pity. And so you have to have that respect for yourself and know that, some days your best is just getting out of bed. Okay, especially if you're dealing with any issues and stuff like that, especially those people dealing with depression or anxiety or things like that. Could be. And it's going to change. And it's going to change from moment to moment. Your best this morning is different than your best tonight. But if you know you're aiming for your best, that's all that matters. You're aiming for your best. And MX attended a wonderful dinner with lawyer Michael Moore, speaking, and he said that too. You can't be a hero every day. Yep, you can't. You can't be a hero every day. And so that's one thing I think those of us who like comic books and stuff like that, enjoy. Because we realize the superheroes, they're not always heroes. They have the moments that they don't succeed. And they come back in the end. And so now we're into our last of the agreements. Initially, when this book came out, it was 4 agreements, and that was it. Then he came back with one last agreement, and that was be skeptical and learn to listen. So many things, when we kind of came back, we looked at things and we started realizing, okay, you know what? You got to do this. You got to do this. Yes, but some feel they fail if they are not heroes all the time. Exactly. And that's the problem. We got to realize we can't always be heroes. We can't. Superman can't always be a hero. Okay. I was going to say he's got to be human, but he's not human. But yeah, you know what I mean. And also, so being skeptical and learning to listen. Okay. Just because you hear something or you say something, don't believe it. Just, okay, yeah, I believe what they said. Okay, if you hear something come across or a comment made by someone, or even you yourself are saying, oh yeah, I'm great at doing this, don't necessarily believe it. Okay, for yourself or others. Okay, you need to research. You need to listen. You need to let your gut tell you what's going on. You've got to try to figure out what else is going on with it. Don't just blindly, be like, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. Oh, really? This is happening right now. Okay, whatever. Okay. For example, when Hawaii, we had that ballistic missile thing a couple years ago. How many people were immediately, and I'm not saying, okay, if the sirens go off, the sirens go off. You react to them. But within a few minutes, many of us who knew better were sitting there starting to think, wait, something's going on here. Okay. Thank you, Tammy. And something's going on here. The sirens haven't gone off. This hasn't happened. I was in communication with civil defense, and I was like, something's wrong here. And also I started making phone calls and stuff. And then 15 minutes later, I'm like, okay, we're still here. There's no missile coming, I don't think. Okay, I still set up for it just in case, but I was being skeptical at that time. I wanted to make sure and not just automatically say something was happening. And so use the power of doubt. Each of us have that in us. We have that feeling, okay, that morning when I got the alert about the missile, okay, ballistic missile coming to Hawaii and all that. Okay, the first thing I had in my head was doubt. Okay. Yes, I was worried it could happen because we'd been training for it at work. But the first thing I did was I picked up the phone and I called the person that I know with with our internal civil defense group. And I was like, you know what's going on here? And he's like, I know nothing about this. So all I could think of is this is real right now. Use that power of doubt to question. Okay. Yes, at that case, like I said, I'm going to go forward and I'm going to prepare for it. But I'm also being skeptical at the same time. I'm researching into it. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I'm asking questions. So if friends come to you or you hear something on YouTube, use that power of doubt, that gut feeling that you have saying, is this real? Is this true what so-and-so said there? Okay, start researching into it. Look into it further. Even if they're friends, you look into things. Okay, because you want to verify stuff. You can't just blindly follow what people tell you to do. Also realize, and part of the reason why you're being skeptical is words mean different things to different people. I mentioned earlier, words are nothing but a series of symbols, of letters, right? So the word, okay, twerp. Years ago, I used to love to call any, child that I babysat or things like that a twerp. It was kind of a term of endearment to me. Okay, I love to say, oh, you're just being a twerp, or if the dogs were acting up, oh my God, they're such twerps, things like that. I had a really good friend of mine who was from Wales, and I had not noticed at first, every time I used that term, she would go quiet. I did not notice that at first, till one day she finally made a comment to me. And she says, you know, where I come from, twerp is derogatory. I had no idea. I had no idea whatsoever that it was derogatory at the time. It was important for me to find that out. But there's a whole lot less words, but you know what? It meant something different. Sometimes it's because of different cultures. A word means different in different cultures. Sometimes it goes back to domestication again. It might be a word that was used in a certain way by parents to mean a certain thing by parents. And as a child, you start taking it that way. Hello, Mercy. And so understanding when we speak, when we use words, okay, the word itself is not enough. You need to listen to the intent behind the word. That's when you start to understand the real message of what's being shared. Okay, you can't just, how many times we've heard here on YouTube, okay, I don't know, I still don't understand why it was that big of an issue, okay, but to her it was, and I was like, okay, that's good to know because I care about you as a friend. I will know in the future. And and it could be JP Pest, Nat, Twerp, whatever. She was a nanny also, FYI. So it's kind of like when I used to go to school, saying shut up was bad. Okay, I mean, the teachers got mad at you for saying shut up. And also you can get into those things. So listening to the intent behind the word, listening to tone, listen to the intent behind it. That's when you get the message. One way of putting it is science is truth. Perception is art. Okay? How does that fit in? Well, think about if you're going through and you're doing science, chemistry, biology, whatever, okay, science is truth. It's about truth. Okay, 1 + 1 = 2. That's science. There's truth there. Okay, art is more about perception, right? If you go and you look at a piece of artwork, okay, or I got another piece there or there, okay, it's more about perception. What is art for one person is not for someone else. Okay, you're having to understand perception at that level, what it means to someone based off of all the things such as domestication, based off of their likes and dislikes, things like that. And that's where words come. Words the letters are science. Okay, ABC is the science. And I love it. And the letters are the science. The way they're strung together, okay, is science. The meaning is perception. Okay, the words and the way they are perceived is where the difference comes. That's where we have to understand things. Because as we start to understand that a person's, the way a person sees a word, okay, or gets a feeling from something, that's when we can start making changes in our own lives. Mercy, when I first moved to Hawaii, I got offended when I heard guys referring to women as then I realized that it's being a fishing culture, it was a compliment. Yeah. And that's it. I mean, there's so many things. And I think that's one reason why I come across when we talk about race and stuff like that, I see it completely differently than most people because I live in a culture where every single ethnicity is a minority. I go out shopping. I'm the minority, but every one of us are the minority out here. And so it's just a different feeling completely. And so as we start realizing how important perception is, and we understand how these agreements come together, that's when we can start getting into self-mastery. Okay, and this is where, for example, when I started looking at the agreements back when I was in my 20s, okay, I was seeing things like, okay, everything was kind of like this was black. Everything was black and white, it seemed like to me back then. And I'm seeing things much, much more. There you go, MX. And things are much more. I'm looking at everything from other people see things differently in life. Okay, and why do they do that? Because of domestication. Okay, they're talking from their own history. Okay, what was truth to them? And is different than what my truth was. As we realize that, we can learn to change the understanding behind words and how we see things. What do I mean by that? Your filters change. Exactly, Rosaline. One of the things that, yep, that's where I am, MX. I'm in Hawaii. I've been, gosh, most of my life, actually. Moved out here when I was in high school. So, and also been here way too long. Hey, girl, how you doing, my dear? Mwah. Okay, this is where I was going to say if there's any area that it could slightly become triggering, it's because I'm going to use some words here. What do I mean by this? Okay, about how once you learn about perception, you can take those steps forward where you can start changing understandings behind words and stuff like that. There's a word out there that when a woman woman or a man is sexually assaulted, okay, there's a word most of us don't want to use initially. It took me years to be able to use the word. And guys, I'm sorry, I'm going to use it. Rape. Okay, how many of us are scared to use that word initially? Because the word is given power. Okay, think about Harry Potter. We hear about Voldemort all the time. Okay, Voldemort has, okay, they gave power to this word. We gave power to the other word that I just used, to the point where many of us have to have trigger warnings and stuff like that because of this perception and power we gave to a series of symbols. But once you can take that and realize the perception behind it, okay, and realize the difference between all that is when you can take the power back from that. And that's where the skeptical learn to listen, things like that, we start realizing that we have the ability to change our lives. Okay, things such as self-mastery, mastery of faith, things like that, that are further discussions that Ruiz has in his book, where we're able to actually look at what a word meant at one time in my life versus what that word means now. Before that word made you feel like a victim. Now, makes me feel stronger than ever. That changes. And it's not because of the science side. It's because of the perception and understanding the word is not what is important. It's the meaning behind the word. It's the same when we talk with people, okay? Don't assume things. Everything's not about us. Things like that. Okay, we start realizing that we need to understand everything else going on while we're talking. So hope that helps with, yeah. So as we finish that one up for the day, because we are starting Cantina in 35 minutes and all that. Any of you guys have? Okay, earlier we talked, and about half of you had never heard of the 4 agreements before. Let me bring this back up real quickly as a reminder. Okay, be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. And do any of you guys have any takeaways you want to share with everyone? For those of you who are watching this as a replay, okay, if you have a takeaway you'd like to share, please pop it up down right below in the comment section. And but is there one of these agreements that you want to focus on this next week? Because I'll be honest, you don't focus on all 4 at once. That's almost overwhelming. It is overwhelming if you're trying to do that. But if you break it down, focus on one this week. Which one would you pick? And how can you put it into play in your own life so that you can move forward? And we will be having Cantina, by the way. We will be starting up in 34 minutes for Cantina. So we will have some Cantina. And then after that, I do have to end after 2 hours today because I have to run down to the drugstore and pick me up one of my prescriptions. And because I did not realize I was out of it till today because I was stupid and did not go look at it. Yes. So, but yeah, we'll be doing that. And I did want to apologize because I will not be able to do Friday next for the next 2 weeks. I will be here Monday, Wednesday this coming week, but Friday I am going to San Francisco. And my best friend and I are going to be going and seeing 3 different Broadway shows as part of Broadway in San Francisco. So I will be on the mainland for the next 2 Fridays. I'll be coming home in 2 Fridays from now. So I do apologize for that, but it's for a good reason. I can't wait. I'm going to get to see 6 Mean Girls and Dear Evan Hansen. So I am so stoked. I'm so stoked. So, but anyhow, I will see you guys over in Cantina in a few minutes. Guys, I wanted to say something real quick. Y'all in chat today, the comments in chat, I really usually on other lives, because I'm not using these stupid banners, I will pull up comments and, but you guys really were working good in there. I mean, listening to the looking back and forth at everything everyone was saying, I really appreciated seeing all the thought processes there. So San Francisco is beautiful. It is, it's really 6. I've been excited to go see because it's about the 6 wives of Henry VIII. Then Dear Evan Hansen, there's a movie out for that one. And Mean Girls is based off of the movie Mean Girls. I love the music for all of them, so it should be great. So, but I will see you guys in 32 minutes for Cantina, and we'll hang out for 2 hours and just have fun. If you guys want to come join us, y'all know the rules. We just come, hang out, just enjoy hanging out with each other. That's all it is. No drama. It's a Friday night. Let's just have fun. So, love you all tons. Cassie's back to growling under her breath. She was behaving most of the day at night after. Oh, are you going to growl now? Are you going to growl now? Yeah. Anyhow, I'll talk to y'all later. And aloha, mahalo, and see you in now 31 minutes. Bye-bye. See ya. Bye.